Hey, what's up, guys? It's Music Within Us, and as you can see, I'm eating breakfast right now. Now, I'd just like to go over what we've read so far on the Trixie Treatment, even though we're not done reading. So, Applejack is nearly dying in the snowstorm, and is brought in by some mysterious mare who turns out to be, as she calls herself, the great and powerful Trixie. So, she, hold on, this lighting is terrible. That's better. So you can see more of my face. So, she brings her in, and, puts her in a bathtub to heat her up, and, when Applejack wakes up, she remembers that Big Macintosh is still out there, and tries to leave. So then Trixie takes plastic handcuffs and cuffs her to the I think a magic kit or something, I don't know. So and then she tells Applejack that maybe she should stop worrying about others before herself sometimes. And then Applejack remembers that not even a week ago, she wrote that letter saying that exact same thing. So, she decides to stay and wait until the storm has passed. Eventually does, and Big Macintosh scares the living crap out of the both of them. And that's about it so far. So, I got this tab opened up on the side of the screen. This recording is on the right side, my right side. So I'm gonna read chapter 4. I decided to do a review on what we've read so far every 3 chapters. This way you can be able to keep track of what's going on. Just as soon as I get a quick bite out of this egg right here. AJ flung her forelegs around her brother's broad shoulders, nuzzling his straw-colored mane and squeezing as tightly as she could. "Big Mac, are you okay?" "Yup," came the familiar reply. Mac's fur felt hot to the touch, and his breath was a series of puffing clouds in the cold of the snowy night. He had clearly been cantering hard moments earlier. The two were embracing outside of Trixie's caravan as the Azure magician peeked at them nervously through her window. "What happened? Where'd you go? Did you make it to Golden Orchards? Are they all right?" Applejack commenced a barrage of questions. The stoic red stallion stood in silence. He had an unspoken one-question-at-a-time rule with mostly every pony who knew him well. Finally, when Applejack had calmed down, took a deep breath and let go of him, he cleared his throat. Mac glanced at the blue unicorn peeking from inside the caravan. Trixie squeaked and ducked out of sight. Now, before I continue reading, you're probably wondering if I'm worried about the issue with the webcam reconnecting problem. I am very much worried, and I should really, at least take another bite out of my breakfast every 3 paragraphs. This way I save time. Okay. So now, back to the story. "Got the Golden Orchards in time and helped out. Granny Rose sends her regards. Every pony's doing just fine. Storm's all but blown over. Came back to fetch you and take you home," he said calmly, glancing up at the sky. He was right. The storm's peak had seen driving snow and howling winds, but little more than chilly breeze now remained, causing the drifting snowflakes to dance in the dark night sky. "But how in the hay did you find me out here? I must have wandered way off the path." AJ could recognize when her brother had been asked a question he really didn't want to answer. He shuffled his hooves awkwardly in the snow and averted his eyes. She frowned. Now you ain't gonna tell me you were just wandering around looking through random windows. You knew I was here, and we ain't going anywhere till you fess up. Big Mac strongly disliked explaining himself for long periods of time, particularly within earshot of ponies he didn't know very well, and even more so when the topic alluded to internal family matters. After we got separated, I went back to find you, followed your tracks, and saw you make it back to the shelter. He nodded at the caravan. Figured since you were safe, I'd press on alone and help at Golden Orchards. AJ narrowed her eyes. One could almost see her hackles rising. Note to self. After reading this chapter, look up what the heck hackles mean. Or you guys could tell me in the comments. I don't know. So if you caught up with me, then why didn't you come over and tell me you're okay so I wouldn't worry myself inside out? That was the question that Mac had been fearing. Well, he began slowly, you looked like you were freezing and I knew if I went over and talked to you, you'd insist on coming with me the rest of the way to Golden Orchards. And I'd have to try and talk you out of it, and I just ain't much good at talking. He left the rest unsaid, as he so often did. Macintosh had wanted his sister to stay safe. He never even wanted her to follow him into the blizzard to begin with, but hadn't had the words to convince her not to. Usually AJ would have used this as a chance to give her big brother an earful. She was often overprotective of her, despite her own convictions that she could handle anything. It was the one thing they argued about most, if one mare berating a silent stallion can be called an argument. Second note to self. Also look up what the heck berating means, even though I think it means yelling at. Just to make sure. Anyways, back to the story. Applejack would shoulder too much. Her brother would dare to say so much as a single word about it, and Applejack would empty her frustrations on him. Like a familiar dance, this had played out many times before. Applebuck season last year when Mac injured his ribs, and AJ had bit off more than she could chew. The disaster of a family reunion she had organized. Various overambitious projects she had started to work on last fall. Several outings and sleepovers with the Cutie Mark Crusaders, and countless other examples that came to AJ's mind as she thought back on the many times her brother had tried to shelter her from trying too hard to please every pony and neglecting her own safety. She sighed. It was no wonder Mac would have felt like he was walking on eggshells by telling her she couldn't handle the snowstorm and should just stay home and warm. I think Derpy Ditsy Derpy Doo meant to say warm up, but I think maybe if that's the case, she forgot to put up. Anyways, back to the story, that doesn't matter. He had been right after all. While he had marched on through the bitter cold undaunted, she had crumbled like a cookie on a hot cocoa diving expedition. Whatever. She punched him lightly on the foreleg. There, I forgive you, you big lug. Now just hang on. I gotta wrap this up and then we can go home together, alright? She trotted back to the entrance to Trixie's caravan and to find the Vizor conjurer crouching by the door and peeping out at the siblings. As Big Mac shambled over, she withdrew, cautiously. That's close enough, sir. Any closer and Trixie will turn you into a frog, shouted Trixie. Mac stopped in his tracks. AJ rolled her eyes. What the hey is wrong, Trixie? I told you I ain't no monster or nothing. This is my big brother. Trixie glared at Mac suspiciously. Big is right, she hissed at Applejack. He's enormous. Are you sure he doesn't mean Trixie any harm? Did she do anything bad to him last time she was in Ponyville? Applejack had to pause and think back on the Alicorn amulet incident. Big Mac wasn't a violent or vengeful sort anyway, but AJ honestly wasn't sure if he had any kind of grudge against Trixie. She tossed Mac a fleeting look and concluded, based on his blank expression, that he had clean forgotten who Trixie was. Wow. Big Mac, either you really don't want to stay traumatized, or you're just very good at forgetting stuff. I wish I had your memory with certain things. Oh wait, I do. Anyways, back to the story. Where was I? Oh, right here. The big red cart horse wasn't good at faces, and Trixie wasn't wearing her trademark hat and cloak at the moment. Well, you didn't do anything bad to him directly, although you were kind of responsible for making him dress up like his sister and act like a mayor. Trixie blushed deeply again. Now she was completely certain that she had done something perverted while under the amulet's corrupting influence. But don't worry about a thing. Mac here ain't gonna hurt you. Trixie frowned. Did Trixie overhear you saying that you were going to go home? Not that she was eavesdropping or anything. Yeah, real subtle, Trixie. Anyways, back to the story. Okay, where was I? Oh, yeah. Yep, looks like the worst of the storm is over and the Golden Orchard farm is safe, so reckon I'd best get home and tell my sister and Apple Cobbler that everything's okay. My brother will make sure I get back safe and sound, so that's relief, blurted Trixie, because the great and powerful Trixie was already growing tired of your company, and certainly wasn't having any kind of fun spending time with you. Again, real subtle, Trixie. And she wasn't looking forward to sharing her bed either. Now that she knows that you're safe, she can go back to her majestic, exciting, and certainly not lonely life. Third time in a row, Trixie. You're not being very subtle about it. So go on back to Ponyville then, and be sure to tell Twilight that Trixie is doing just fine as a fully reformed and functional member of Pony Society who helps ponies that come to her in need of aid. Because that's why Trixie helped you, and for no other reason whatsoever. And with that, Trixie slammed the door in Applejack's face. Rude much? Okay, so where am I again? Oh yeah. Applejack stood in stunned silence for a moment. Then she smiled. Trixie, she called. She hadn't heard any hoofsteps on the creaky wooden floor of the caravan, so presumably Trixie was still standing right on the other side of the door. AJ leaned close to the door and said, "Thank you," softly. There were a few embarrassed thumps from within, and then stillness. "Come on, Big Mac. We best be heading home then. Applebloom and Granny Smith are probably worried sick." Macintosh followed her, silently expressing his curiosity through sideways glances at his suddenly cheerful younger sister as they trotted together through the snowy night. Applejack couldn't wipe the grin off her face. Trixie was adorable. It's the funniest thing, she thought. Just 'cause some pony lies an awful lot, don't mean that they're any good at it. I think I'll go tell Twilight all about first thing tomorrow. Mind if I try that paragraph over? Thanks. It's the funniest thing, she thought. Just 'cause some pony lies an awful lot, don't mean that they're any good at it. I think I'll go tell Twilight all about tonight, first thing tomorrow. Okay, that's the, okay, it says for the author's note, end of part 1. Thanks for all the support. Your comments make my day every time I read them. Smiley face. Well, you're welcome, Derpy Ditsy Doo. I mean, Derpy Ditsy Derpy Doo. You're welcome. For doing these Brony readings, I thank you for giving me permission to do them. I hope you see this, Derpy Ditsy Derpy Doo, because that is actually my goal, is for you to see if, how, well, I'm actually hoping that these Brony readings get popular, because your story is very good, I must say. You had my attention every time I read each single chapter. I was very interested. What sucks is I didn't find this story sooner, because it's really good. So yeah, that's the end of chapter 4. I'm actually happy that the camera didn't have to reconnect. I probably jinxed that for myself for the next chapter. I do not know. Hoping not. So anyways, this has been your first Breakfast Brony reading with me, Music Within Us, or if you guys want to call me by my real name, Ian L. Del Valle. I'm not going to tell you what the L stands for, unless you really want to know. If you do want to know, leave a comment below saying so, and I will look and I will tell you guys in the next video's description. See you guys in the next video. Also, before I go, can't believe I forgot to say this earlier. I am extremely sorry I haven't been able to post videos for the last the last few days. But the thing is, being as to how my mom does not know I'm posting these videos, because I'm actually 14, and my mom says I can't have that account till I'm 16. Doesn't matter to me though, because I still do it anyway. The thing is, I can't do it because I'd never know when she's coming home from work, if it's from 7 to 9 or 7 to 4. So, on the days it's 7 to 9, I try, but I just can't get the courage to, because she might end up coming home early. But anyways, that's enough talk. I will, see you guys. Also, if you like the videos that you see from me, please subscribe. You probably hear that a lot from other people that you really think are awesome, and being as to how I'm not very awesome, I'm kind of dull, I can understand if you don't subscribe, but at least just leave a like on my videos if you like what you see. Okay, Music is in us, out.